host, Elizabeth Hernandez, and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be speaking about feminism, and we'll be talking about the importance of it and how it affects us. Stay tuned after this video asking around college students why it's important. Tune in.
Hello, this is Sylvia, and today I'm on campus to ask some of the students how they feel about feminism. The first question we asked was, are you a feminist?
Yes, I am.
Of course. I'm also an intersectional feminist.
Yeah, I'm a feminist.
Yes, absolutely.
The second question we asked was, what is your definition of feminism?
Feminism equals equality.
Feminism is trying to bridge the gap between sex inequality, bring women up to the same level as men.
Feminism is the equality between everybody, no matter what they choose to identify as, and intersectional feminism is taking into account other factors such as race and sexuality that women also get discriminated against for.
Feminism to me just means equality for everyone.
And finally we asked, what are your hopes for women in the future?
Just fighting more for social justice and equality overall, you know.
Probably that there isn't such a huge wage discrepancy. They can feel safe at night walking around. They aren't an oppressed people, and that they are equal with men.
I hope that all of us who identify as women in the future can have a brighter future of all progressions and love and resilience.
Welcome back. We are here with Erin Long. Hi. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
I am currently a senior art education and theater education double major, and I was a member of SAGE for 3 years, and now I'm a member of the MSU Young Democrats.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about SAGE. What is it?
Well, SAGE began as the feminist club on campus. SAGE stands for Student Association for Gender Equality. And it was basically just the feminist group on campus that was providing that feminist voice on campus and would do various campaigns to kind of make us a more women and non-binary friendly campus. And yes.
Okay. And how long has SAGE been around?
I believe we started in the early thousands, and then we took a bit of a break and then started again around probably about 2012, I think.
Okay, and you are a current member of SAGE, correct?
SAGE has actually joined forces. We've merged with the MSU Young Democrats Association, so I'm a member of that now because we just decided the way we could do the most good, I guess, was to just kind of combine our forces.
Okay.
So.
And what made you start in that? What made you join?
Well, I joined SAGE originally because I was interested in feminism when I came to college. I really didn't know a whole lot about feminism other than it was, yay women's rights, but and so SAGE kind of helped me learn more about feminism and why it's still needed, and gave me a way to kind of channel my feminist become an activist, really.
Okay, and can you tell our viewers what feminism is or what it means to you?
Yeah. Well, feminism to me is a campaign for women's rights, women and non-binary people, and that's pretty much what it is to me. Is just having us equal. Kind of in the eyes of the law and society.
Okay, and why do you think it's important to know about feminism?
I think it's important to know about feminism because women are still unequal, women and non-binary people are still unequal. We don't receive equal treatment in the law and society, and that's just no fun. And the more people know about it, the more we can work to make that better for all women and non-binary
Okay.
individuals.
And have you experienced, like you said, women aren't treated equal? Have you experienced anything like that here on campus?
A little bit I have. We actually had a conversation in one of my classes yesterday where I'm in the theater department so much. We were talking about how in a lot of professional theaters, not so much here, but there's a lot of issues with women being seen as lesser. How, you know, if there's a man in charge of the technical department, they may make more money compared to a woman in charge of the costume department.
Oh, wow.
So that was an issue that we had a rousing discussion about in one of my classes.
Oh, man.
And just, you know, kind of general, like, catcalled a little bit on campus.
Okay.
And just different comments, like, aimed at, like, my major, the fact that I want to go into teaching, or just various interests I have.
Alrighty. And how, or personally what are some ways to cope with that and I guess not let it affect you?
I really just kind of like to channel myself into feminist activism because, you know, if it happens to me, like I've had it been happening, I can handle it, but I kind of want to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else is
Right.
what's important to me. So for me, it's really important to kind of work so that doesn't happen. Like kind of stand up for myself, and also I've kind of built a network around me of a lot of other amazing women, and so I look to them a lot for help and just support in general.
That's neat. I'm glad you can do that.
It's
Well,
awesome. I love it.
we'll come right back to you, and we're gonna go into a video on one of the MSU graduates here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
My name is Damon Huff. Feminism to me is everything being equal. A lot of people seem to think that feminism is about women being greater than men, and that's just definitively not true. Now, some people might construe that and use that to forward their own agendas, but the feminist agenda is having everything equal. And I feel like we need that. I feel like we need equality in this world, and we don't have it. People say we have equality. We do not have true equality in this world, and we probably never will have true equality in this world. But that doesn't mean that we can't fight for it. Women, men, black, white, Asian, Latino, everyone needs to be treated not based off the color of their skin or their gender, but based off of what they give to society and who they are as a person. Now, being a guy and supporting this is not sometimes the most popular thing to do. Sometimes it's seen as like an unmanly kind of thing, and the word feminism scares a lot of men, to be honest. And I just feel like being a man and saying I'm a feminist has a dark cloud over it that shouldn't be there. Because when you say I'm a feminist, what you're really saying is I support equality. And now, why is equality important? I've talked about that a little bit already, but I feel like I need to reiterate that you should not be judged based on something you cannot help. You can't help if you're born a man or a woman. You can't help where you're born. You can't help what skin color you have. The things you can help are the things you need to be judged on. Things like how you treat other people, what you do, how hard you work to attain what you want, what it is you want. things like that are what we need to be judged on, and feminism is about that. Feminism is about judging someone based on their character, not based on something that they can't help.
We are back with Aaron Long. So after viewing Damon's video, he expressed how, I guess, feminism, it will never be 100% achieved, but we should always strive to do so. So what are your thoughts on people who view, or people who are anti-feminism? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are pretty much just that, like, it may be true that one would be equal. I think that's kind of a sad worldview to hold. I want to have more faith in that. I think we can eventually reach some form of equality. I mean, it may not be in my lifetime, but eventually,
Right.
somewhere down the road, I do like to believe that we'll be there. But I just think it's important to kind of always strive for something better, because I mean, women in America, we're better than a lot of other places, and I think that is nice. But we could always still be better. Like, it's awesome that I can have a job, but it's not awesome that I get paid less.
Right.
So that's always something to work for. And for anti-feminists, I just think that it's something that we should always be working for. So yeah.
Definitely. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, the opposite sex? A lot of men aren't informed of what feminism is, or a lot of them don't go into route of being pro-feminism. So have you had any particular experience with that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with men who don't really understand what feminism is or who don't support it. And when I kind of reach that point, it is a movement that is kind of aimed at women, because in history, women have always been viewed as the lesser. But feminism does help men too, because there are issues that men face that we all kind of suffer under the patriarchy. Like the idea that, like, real men don't cry or man up, things like that.
Right.
And those are things that hurt men too. And so it's kind of hurting yourself if it's not a movement you support, because by making women equal will also make things better for men.
Okay. And aside from, I guess, wanting equality, why do you think it's important for us to follow through with feminism?
I think it's important to follow through for feminism because it just will allow, I think our society will work better if everyone was equal. It would lead to a happier society. We'd just be able to work better together and do better as a nation and as people.
Right. And what are some of the things like SAGE or students here can help with the community to be aware of feminism?
I think a lot of the important part is just kind of talking about it, just kind of reminding people, standing up when you see situations where someone is being misogynistic or otherwise just not being fair to someone who is female or non-binary. And just kind of reaching out, looking at ways in your community, like if there's an issue of women's rights, like abortion rights or other such things that need maybe your voices, maybe write a letter to your senator, just various things like that that can help push those issues and get them to a place where they're solved.
Right. And how do you see this issue here at Morehead State? Like, do you think it's an issue that needs to be more aware of, or do you think that we're doing a good job speaking about it?
That feminism?
Yes, feminism.
Okay. Yeah. I think we do pretty decently, especially considering, you know, we're a university in a small Kentucky town.
Right.
I think we can. It's kind of that thing, you can always do more to bring it up. I mean, you can always just do more talk about feminism, but I think as a whole, we're pretty decently there. I do hear a lot about it. It comes up in a lot of my classes and everything.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, we hope for the best. Thank you for coming. Welcome back. Joining us now is Alexis Matthews.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a graduate assistant here at Morehead State. So I got my bachelor's degree here as well in Convergent Media.
Okay.
And I actually used to host and produce the show.
Nice. Do you
So.
miss it at all?
Yeah, I do, because it's certainly an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Okay.
And having a new topic every show is.
Oh, definitely. And like today, we're focusing on feminism. So, what is that to you?
I think there's like this misconception that feminism is just about like empowering women and hating on men, but that's not what it is. It's so much more than that. It's about equality for all, including men.
Okay.
And you know, when I say equality, I mean like equality in the workforce, equal pay, equality when it comes to social issues, economic issues,
Right.
things like that. So.
Okay. And why do you think it's important for people to be aware of this issue?
Why do I think it's important? Because we're not equal. You know, people like to say that we are, but we're not. Women are still being paid less. Minorities are still being paid less than white men. And you know, minorities are not treated the same as white people. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the world today, like even like in this country, like we have the KKK is still prominent,
Right.
and things like that. So it is still a real issue.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think this applies, I guess, or it should apply more to men?
It's not necessarily that it applies more to men. It's just feminism does include men,
Right.
but people tend to forget that. Like a lot of like young boys are taught not to cry, they can't have emotions and things like that, and that can be hurtful to them because then they feel like, oh, well, I can't be emotional, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, men as well as women they have unrealistic expectations of how they should be.
Right.
You know, if a guy dresses well, he pays too much attention to how he looks, people automatically assume that they're gay, which is not, you know, those
Mhm.
things are not indicative of one another, really.
Exactly. And have you experienced any sort of this personally, or have seen it happen?
Well, because I did get my bachelor's here, I was the producer for News Center. And I also directed for a while too. And I always felt like people didn't take me seriously
Right.
because I was a woman. I don't know, that maybe that was all in my head. I don't know. But
Mhm.
there were certainly times when I thought, well, if a man had said, hey, can you maybe do this? People listened and did it, and it wasn't a thing. But I've not really experienced too much of a problem. But I've also not really been out in the real world
Right.
all that much, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for speaking about this. We'll be right back. We'll be going into a video of a professor here at Morehead State. Thank you.
Feminism is the interest all women have in equality and autonomy, making their own decisions, whatever those decisions may be, without needing permission from anyone else or approval from society. I would identify as a feminist, and I mean in that, you know, my background before I became a professor was a civil rights attorney, and so my interest is that everybody enjoys the same rights and freedom as everybody else. And if, you know, the mission of feminism is to achieve that equality, and so I support it. In one of the classes I teach is law and individual rights, and obviously an individual right we all enjoy is the right to vote. And for many years, women did not enjoy that right. They weren't full participants in our democracy, and so that comes up. The equality, you know, the protection of equality that the 14th Amendment provides is an issue as well. Are women treated equally as men in all aspects of the law, and how the government interacts with them, what pursuits they can you know, follow as autonomous citizens? There's always an argument that nobody's fully equal. I think in a lot of ways we know there's a pay disparity between men and women still. Obviously that needs improvement. There's ongoing right now in the state of Kentucky a war against abortion rights. I think that that's a hot topic. You know, our governor right now is in trial this week, trying to shut down the last abortion clinic in the state. And so, the Supreme Court has recognized the right to abortion, and women are still fighting for that to maintain it. I think as everything, I mean, we're all equal, but some of us are more equal than others, and generally white men tend to be more equal than others as far as American history and government goes. I think it's, like I said, it's an endless struggle that may never end. I think we made great strides in the last several decades, but the job is not done.
We are back with Alexis. So I guess we can both agree that feminism is important and people should be aware about it. So how did you become aware of it, or why did you think there was an importance to know about it?
It's really weird because I don't remember like a specific thing that made me believe that. I just know that when I was like growing up, I just always believed that people were equal,
Right.
or should be treated equal, because we are equal. So I don't know why I thought that. I don't know if it was something that my parents always told me or what, but I know that once I actually got into college, I started reading a lot more and listening to people and watching documentaries and things. So I'm self-educating is like a big thing, but
course.
you also can't always take everything you read or see as like fact too. So
Right. And do you think that this issue is spoken of or known about very thoroughly here in the university or just in the Moorhead area?
I really don't know if I can speak to that. I know that we have several organizations like SAGE and
Right.
things, but I don't know like how well the student population or just the population of Moorhead knows about it. So I don't know.
Okay. And what do you think about the feminism bandwagon that people speak about? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, from what I can understand about what that is, it's just people who are like, oh, feminism's cool, so let me just get on board with that. But you don't, like, if you're just doing that, you don't really know what it is, and you have no authority to speak about it because you're just doing it because it's cool. It's kind of annoying, actually, because it is a serious issue. And I think that's where people who are like, oh, well, I'm going to be a feminist now because it's cool, and then they go off and they say and do these things, and they're not necessarily like actual feminism.
Right.
And it helps to give feminism that bad name, that bad connotation that it has to it. So.
Okay. And how about the anti-feminism? What do you think about that?
It's aggravating. And I don't really have any personal experience with anybody who's like anti-feminist.
Right.
So it really is aggravating because I feel like if you're a human, you want everybody to be equal, or you should want that. You would want to treat people with kindness, and so it is aggravating. And for me, I just don't get how you could just sit here and be like, you have a different skin color, you're you know, a homosexual or whatever, so I don't like you. You don't deserve the same things that I deserve. Like, that's not cool. And so people who are like, oh, well, feminism's bad and I'm going to prove it to you, or whatever anti-feminists do, it's really aggravating.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for giving us your thoughts, and we're going to take a little commercial. Was that too soon?
What do I need? Where do I need?
Tell me 30 seconds so I can like wrap up.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like sinking into it.
We're back with our two guests. Okay, so we touched on feminism and the importance of it and the bandwagon that goes on. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, the extreme feminists that are going on?
That's why feminism has a bad name.
Yeah.
You know, I think with anything, like if you look at, you know, religion, you know, or any group like PETA and things like that, there's always these people who take it like a little too far.
Right.
And then people see that and they're like, oh, I want to stay away from that. And I think that's what happens in this case. You know, people get a little crazy sometimes. So.
Definitely. What about you, Erin?
Pretty much what she said. There's definitely, you know, a couple bad eggs in every group. But I want to add, I think it's important is feminists to kind of talk about those who are extremely like, yes, but that's not what all of us believe.
Right. Okay, and what do you think are some helpful tips for someone who, I guess, is in a situation where they're with somebody who isn't aware of feminism? What's the way to go about it to, I guess, teach others about it?
Don't be rude. Just because somebody's uneducated about something doesn't mean you should be rude to them. Like,
Right.
Calmly explain your position, and if they still don't get it, then I don't know what to do.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
You can try to explain it to them, but if they're not listening or hearing, then I think it's good to try and get, you know, people more interested in the cause. And there's also a ton of various like resources online and such you can point them to.
Oh, definitely. And anything else you guys want to add about this issue or why it's important? Anything?
I can't think of anything that I haven't already said.
Okay. Good. Okay, well, we hope for the best in feminism and all these issues going on around the world. And stay tuned on our next show. It'll be coming out shortly. I'm Elizabeth Hernandez, and thank you both for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.